One of the questions that we get most often is, how do you fit an entire camp kitchen in the back of a minivan? And it's been a couple years since we've done a video on our kitchen, so thought I'd give you a look at what we actually carry. We're just headed out for a few days camping, and there's a hole in here that we don't have the cooler placed in the van yet, but that's self-explanatory. So let me show you what we actually have. On the top is a Camp Chef Everest cook stove, a 2-burner propane stove. These are little foam seat cushions that are real comfortable when you're sitting on a hard picnic table. And then on the top is a water container. Technically this is a 7-gallon aquatainer, but we rarely have it more than 2/3 full, so between 4 and 5 gallons is plenty. 99% of the campsites that we go to, even the Forest Service campsites, have a pump, even if it's a hand pump, so we can always fill up with water. And if not there, then sometime during the course of the day we're going to pass a picnic spot or someplace that has water. We never run out of water if we're camping, except if we're out in the desert, then obviously all things are different there. So this is the standard kitchen that has the fold down shelf. A shelf can be added to any of the GoneCamper kitchens, but this just opens up with this little bungee, and then when the cooler's in there, it gives you a way to pull your cooler out and balance it. Otherwise it'll just balance it on the bumper of the minivan. The hole in the bottom there is where you fish the 12-volt cigarette lighter plug in, and we have a plug on the opposite corner of the van that's only hot when the van is running, so we can never drain the battery with the cooler. So let me show you what's in the drawers here, just for your information. On the top we have just your generic silverware drawer, and there's 2 of us, so we have 3 forks and 3 spoons and a couple knives, a couple regular cutting knives, salt and pepper. This is the handle for the cook kit, miscellaneous matches and measuring spoons and so on. Underneath we've got coffee filters, koozies, knife sharpener, lighter, measuring cups, some more matches. Headed up to Minnesota, so I've got to have a head net for the bugs in case they're still alive, which I don't think there will be. Big spoons, spatulas, a couple glasses that we most often use for trail mix as we're driving down the road. I usually keep a couple generic dinners in here just in case we get in the camp real late and we're tired and we just want to boil some water and have a meal. And then tin foil, paper towels, can opener, tongs for brats, and just, you know, your general supplies for cooking there. So that all fits easily in the top drawer. And really, if you need more than that, you're doing some pretty fancy cooking. The bottom drawer, I've got everything wrapped in towels. I just don't like things rattling going down the road, but this towel has a propane tank, second propane tank. I've got 2 bowls from the dollar store. That is the sink. Washing and rinsing. Silicone little dish scrubber and a bottle of Dawn. There's nothing special about our cook kit. This is just a generic 3-pot nesting cook kit. We almost never ever use the the frying pan lids, but they are lids for cooking. So most of the time, for two of us, we're using the middle size pot for cooking a meal. Sometimes a smaller pot for warming up some beans or, you know, steaming some vegetables or something. And then the larger pot is what we use to heat up water, and that's our dishwashing. Inside there we've got a couple of bowls for cereal. We usually have oatmeal in the morning, and some cups. We don't really use these for coffee. Those are really more or less for measuring cups. For coffee we use our some nice Yeti travel mugs. We fill up a couple travel mugs, and that's a pot of coffee right there. And then speaking of coffee, that's another thing that there's a tremendous amount of debate online. How do you make coffee? All the different options, the presses and the pour over methods and the different things. We use the same thing that people have used for 200 years or more, a regular percolator. You put coffee grounds in the top, the water boils, it perks up through the little glass globe on the top, and it runs down through the grounds, and it takes longer to get the water up to boil, but then it only takes a few minutes to perk your coffee, and that makes all the coffee we need. So lots of microfiber towels, lots of paper plates. This is a Silverstone type frying pan that I cut the handle off, and I can clamp on the same handle that we use for the cook kit. So that takes up a lot less space that way. And a couple plastic plates that we use occasionally, and a cheap cutting board. And then this little gizmo down here is my favorite thing. We don't carry a grill to put over the fire. This is a grill with a handle on it. And I think I got this at like Dollar General or one of those types of stores, but you can put hamburger patties, brats, or you know, sausage, hot dogs, whatever else you want in there. And then instead of putting them on the grill and turning them with the tongs, you just turn the whole thing over, and then it folds up. So it's really inexpensive and a lot easier than carrying a charcoal grill or something like that. So everything fits in there. Our cooler is the Coleman 12-volt cooler, and it's never ever full of items that need refrigeration. We put other things in there too, just to fill up the space. I mean, we keep our breakfast oatmeal in there, we keep granola bars in there, we keep all kinds of things that don't need refrigeration just because the cooler isn't full. So when we're going on a weekend trip, we'll start out with a 1 or 2 half-gallon milk jugs frozen. If we're on a longer trip, then we use ice. And I put a bag of ice in a dry sack, in a waterproof sack, and that way it keeps the melt water from filling up the cooler, and I can just take that sack out and dump the water out and put another bag of ice in there. But a bag of ice will last us 3 days. The cooler keeps extracting the warm air from the inside, the little 12-volt Coleman cooler, and then it doesn't run when the van is off at night or when we're out hiking, so the ice takes over then. So between the cooler running and blowing the hot air out of the enclosure and the ice that's in there, everything stays nice and cold, and a $2 bag of ice lasts us usually 3 days, and we can get ice at every gas station and actually every McDonald's now too. So it's easy to get. We have a $100 Coleman cooler instead of a $500 refrigerator. I think the trade-off is worth a little bit of hassle buying a bag of ice every 3 days. So that gives you an idea of what the kitchen holds. It's more than enough for 2 people for all the meals that we like to make. We are buying fresh food continually and putting it in the cooler, meats and vegetables and things like that. So we don't eat junk food. We make nice meals, but That's really all you need for campground cooking, and everything fits in those 2 drawers. Really, if you're bringing more than that, you might need to rethink your packing list. If you want to bring along some extra things, there is room under the bed for storage. A lot of people, if they want to bring some real elaborate Dutch oven cooking setup or something like that, you might need to be thinking about a rooftop carrier or a hitch carrier for some other overflow that you have. So hope that gives you an idea of what it takes to actually cook on the road, and stay tuned for more from GoneCamper. What I'm showing you here is a standard 4-gallon milk crate. The top tray of the GoneCamper kitchen is sized to fit a 2-burner propane stove and a water jug. But more and more people are requesting a crate for individual gallons of water, and that'll fit up there just exactly the same size as the 5, 6, 7 Aquatainer water jug. So especially for the solo women travelers that we make campers for, or anybody that's a little bit shorter, hefting that 5-gallon water jug up on top sometimes might be a little bit of a stretch. So being able to grab out individual gallons of water is really very convenient. So of course you're limited to 4 gallons there, as opposed to 5, 6, or even 7 gallons in that big blue jug. But the trade-off is it's just plain easier to load and unload. And the other question that people always ask is, don't you have to tie that water down? And we've driven now tens of thousands of miles, and even with the blue water jug, it has never moved an inch. I've never had it tip over. It's never spilled a drop. In theory, if you want to put a couple little tie downs on each side and run a bungee across, or a strap, you're certainly welcome to do that. But we've drove hundreds of miles off the pavement in Alaska and all over northern Wisconsin, the deserts of Arizona, and we've never tipped over the blue water jug. So if you're in a severe enough accident where that water jug tips over, that's, I think, the least of your problems. But you certainly could tie it down if you want to. But anyway, back to the crate. This is a good option for anybody that is a little bit shorter or a little bit height challenged, and you want something easier than the big blue water jug. This gives you an option. Just request it, and I'll make sure that it's sized exactly for a 4-gallon milk crate.